So, hello and welcome to the 1% podcast. Today we have Mr. James Brook. By all accounts, a very successful and busy individual. Lots going on. Just like the gents that I typically work with, James's story is a really cool one because, like everyone else, in the thick of it with work, business, family, kids, houses moving, all that good stuff. Recognized he wanted to make a change, made some big changes, and as we sit today in a really great place by my account, but I want you to hear from the horse's mouth. And also, it's powerful to hear someone talk about this because I think a lot of us can sit in a place where we're not feeling our best and think it's a bit insurmountable as what to do, and actually it's more than achievable. Now, of course, James has gone through a process to work with me and my program to help him with that, but I truly believe anyone can do it, right? And so a conversation like this is really helpful for anyone to listen to. So I think you're going to get a lot out of it. Before we kick off, James, you want to introduce yourself, a little bit about you, who you are, what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm James Brook, CEO of Novello Group. So we're a firm of chartered surveyors based in Epsom, London, but we're nationwide now. So mainly doing kind of home buyers, helping that. I've got two young kids, a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a wife. We live in Epsom as well. And yeah, just kind of very busy with work, kids, a lot going on.
Yeah. Totally, I can totally relate as well, mate. In a very, very similar situation, we're currently in the process of moving house, which is always fun. So, well, let's kind of kick off the conversation. Let's rewind to a few months in the past. I think you'd followed me for a bit on LinkedIn, decided to reach out for a chat. What was going on with you back then that made you think, you know what, I want to have a chat with someone like me, and what I do?
Yeah, I think, as is a common story, I'd had kids, so 1-year-old, 4-year-old. It's pretty much that whole 4 years. I'd done very little in terms of exercise, fitness, looking after myself. Not just that, like the business. The business almost became my whole life and just kind of all encompassing. So, yeah, everything was kind of around that. And I'd done a few, I had a PT here and there. Gone through a few phases of going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week, and it'd never last more than a month or two before I kind of reverted. And when I was doing it, I always felt it was not sustainable. So yeah, it was kind of, I needed to do something at that stage.
And what you're saying there about the, I guess, the gym focus of the PT thing, by the way, there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's totally fine. But I think, as you would agree, that's a small piece of a bigger picture and puzzle, like work, life, family, the whole lot. And so we, of course, need to take care of ourselves physically. But if that's the only area that you're looking at, and that's happening quite acutely, maybe at the detriment to some of the other areas, when you've got all these other things going on, that's often why it'll fall over. Or like you said, it's not sustainable because it doesn't actually look at the bigger, more holistic picture. It needs to be part of your life, but it's not the
Yeah.
only thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was it for me. It was, the stress, the busyness. That I just cannot sit still. I cannot not be doing anything. We've tried it a few times, haven't we? Kind of just leaving me to sit still for half an hour, and I still can't do that. So I think kind of my mindset was never set up to find that balance by myself.
Yeah. And for someone like yourself, like with the business and a lot of the guys I work with, almost like the word balance can sound like a dirty word. It's like, oh, I don't want to just
Yeah,
sit and rest on my laurels. But I think it's about working out what that means. And I think when we talk about balance, often people think time, right? And so like that's like, oh well, I can't have balance. A, because I'm going to spend more time at work than at home because just of how life is.
yeah,
But B, does that mean I have to sacrifice performing at work to be in balance? And I think that's the wrong way to look at it. For me, I think balance is really about you being in the right state for the different sort of sections of your life, right? So if you're at work, on it, focused, not procrastinating, you got structure and boundaries around what to do. It's not compromising your health physically and emotionally. So then when you're at home, you're there, present, focused, and giving your family what they need, not stressed out your head, glued to your phone or whatever. Well, I think you will feel balanced in those scenarios because you're showing up as you want, relative to the situation you're in. I think for me, and so like the emergent property is you feeling balanced, right? It's not like, oh, I'm spending more time at home now. As we said,
yeah.
that's probably unrealistic. But then in that state, I think you feel better. But in that state also, you're not necessarily compromising work to be at home or vice versa. You're getting the most out of yourself relative to the situation, right?
Yeah, and I think for me, it was not about. To be honest, I had I'm not someone who's in the office 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. in the city. I work 5 minutes from home. I probably am 9 till 5, even sometimes less. And even that feels squeezed sometimes with the kids and everything like that. So for me, it wasn't about, I need to step back and I need to, it was about I've got this very kind of chocker lifestyle, and how do I fit things in? And I think the biggest change for me has been the home workout. So I used to, whenever I did those kind of, workout regimes before, it was at a gym, it was going to a PT. Now all I do is a home workout with kettlebells, a yoga mat, um, dumbbells, and I do the breaks in between the reps, I'm getting the kids cereal, or I'm splitting them up from fighting, or I've managed to find something that fits, is so easy to do, because I'm up early with the kids anyway. My wife does all the night, so I tend to be up from 5:30 with the kids, and that's 2 hours of, before sitting on the sofa getting the breakfast, all that kind of stuff. Now I just need to find half an hour in that window where I still be looking after them, do weights while I'm having a rest, go and help them X, Y, and Z. So that's probably been the biggest impact for me, is finding that way to fit that into my life.
Yeah, and it's working out within your life. There's things that we know that we need to do and how we fit them in. But where a lot of guys get stuck is go, well, maybe something that might have worked when you were 22. Like, oh, I can't do that
Yeah,
now. I can't go to and spend 2 hours a day in the morning in the gym. No, you can't. But what can you do? And I think you did a post about the experience on LinkedIn, and you had a photo of like your son on you whilst you're doing your squats or something like that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
is that perfect? Is that, I mean, sometimes it's fun, but sometimes we want a bit of peace, right? But depending on the phase of life you're in, that's not possible. So I think historically, it'd probably fair for me to say your default was I can't do anything. It's like, no, that's
yeah,
not the case. You can do something. We have to look at what you can do and adapt it appropriately. Now, in 5 years or 2 years or even 1 year, when the kids are a bit older, it's a bit calmer, can you tweak that? Probably. But it's like, what can you do right now? But what you've also shown yourself is now, in one of the domains that's important, which is physical activity, exercise, taking care of yourself at that point, well, there's things we can do, right? And then from that, the other bits bleed on as well, right? Because you are hectic and lots going on at work, but then it's like, well, how can we best manage yourself within that? So then you're not stressed out your head at the end of the day, right? Your time is structured, but you want to be sort of focused as well. Does that make sense? But like, it kind of all
yeah.
leads from looking at that. Well, what can we do? And I'm sure you do that in your business, but it's about applying the logic to yourself as well, right?
Yeah, and I like going to the gym now. I like I've got a gym membership. It's a 5 minute walk from my house. I've really got no excuses. It's as easy as possible to go. You've got a swimming pool, sauna. It's a nice experience to go. I probably go less than twice a month.
Yeah.
That can't be. I can walk to it in 5 minutes. My back garden gate leads out into the club where I go to. So I've got no excuses, but I still don't do it, because it's that physical thing of, if I have to go out, it's right. It's the childcare thing. When am I going to do that? I can't do that on a morning, because my kids just don't sleep. So my wife is often, we kind of swap over. She'll do the night, and then I'll take over early on, and let her have a lay until kind of 8ish. So by the time she's getting up, I don't have time before I have to go to work. So right now, and in my life, I don't have the time to do that, but I am in the house at that period. And the other things you mentioned there, kind of the diet, and everything that we've done there around that, has been easy, because it's taking things away. So the intermittent fasting, that's one of the easiest thing. I know it's like so obvious, but why did I never do that before? Low carb lunches now, it's just part of my approach, and it's kind of stuff that are habitual, and I just don't think about.
Yeah. Because one of the things you said to me, I think, when we first spoke was, you're like, I know I'm not taking care of myself. I know I'm not like in a good space physically. Like, and yeah, work's going really well, but I'm not feeling like I'm showing up as I want. And I can't see a way to address this. But you're also like, but I don't want to compromise how I'm showing up at work. And I don't want it to have loads of like mental bandwidth having to apply to it. And so actually, what we've given you is a simple sort of framework that you can apply that works without an awful lot of mental load or thought. Because if it was crazy and convoluted, you're not going to keep doing it, right? And so you
Yeah,
want something that's relatively straightforward, that can fit in with life, and so you can take care of yourself without the stress. Whereas now, like, arguably, as we were discussing just before we came on, work's no less busy or hectic, right? If not more so.
well,
But you're in a place where you're taking care of yourself within it, so then you can get the most out of yourself in the areas that matter, right?
yeah, I think like the biggest point when that proved to me, and I know we spoke about this. So back in April, so I was probably, what was that, 2 months, a month into the program. We did we bought a company out of a pre-pack administration. If anyone's ever dealt with buying a company out of administration, it's absolutely It's just fucking bonkers. The whole thing happened in 3 weeks. It's, you know, it was a 50-person company that we acquired. It trebled our business overnight. It was just the most crazy thing because we only had 3 weeks to do everything, systems, personnel, transfer over, all the due diligence on the business. It's the most insane thing I've ever done, and I don't know if I'll ever do anything like it again. Um, it was just bonkers. I was working ridiculous hours. We had to travel up to do this acquisition. And through that whole time, I didn't drop a single. In fact, if anything, I kind of stepped up a little bit, and that proved to me it was such a good feeling to be like, wow, I've managed to sustain this kind of balance and healthiness and fitness and good eating through a period which, you know, I probably would have had a decent excuse to have dropped it and stepped back, but it was so habitual.
Well, I remember we spoke about that, didn't we? You said like brass tacks on some of the group calls as well. This is probably one of the most stressful. It is the most stressful time I've ever had in my
Yeah,
career. And you were like, "Well, I feel all right." And I think for
yeah,
me, I talk about this in the podcast a lot, and I say that in the programs to the guys. For me, that's the magic. When I hear that, I'm like, as a coach, I'm like winning because
yeah,
genuinely, because that's resilience, right? So we cannot generally we can all have our shit together when things are calm. But when it's like when the shit hits the fan, are you able to just plot the course, take care of yourself, and get the most out of it? And so maybe historically in those situations, you or someone else might have been like, well, I'm going to drink tonight to take the edge off. I'm really stressed. None of the self
yeah,
care, always on your phone, no time at all for the family, and not taking care of yourself physically. And you'd probably get the job done, but you'd be absolutely fucked at the end of it. Whereas you would come into the end of a week, we'd have a catch up, and you're like, "Yeah, it's been fucking mental, but I'm all right, I'm good, I'm okay." And that's what it's about. Like you can't control the chaos that life can hit you with. Now, I guess although it was stressful, that's a positive, right? You're acquiring this business, it's really exciting,
yeah,
but it's going to have an impact. But then it's like, what do you do, and what choices are you going to make for yourself to get the most out of that? And so actually, you were able to show yourself, well, I've built some habits and some foundations with how I'm taking care of yourself holistically, and they stayed true, which meant I could get the most out of myself in a situation. It's like quite a good acid test, right? Because you know, like throw an acquisition on top, and actually you're
yeah.
okay, and that's it, right? Because life isn't always going to be easy.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, before that and since that, I've sometimes kidded myself about, you know, dropping down to a 4-day week and stepping back from the business and all these kind of things. And I just, you know, I'll go to the gym every lunchtime, spend an hour doing X, Y, and Z, and it's kind of, you know, nice, idealistic thinking, but I just know I'm not built that way.
Yeah,
I'm a workaholic, and being able to build this round it has been the best thing, and I'm now. I've said this previously to you. I can't. I definitely hit a bit of a plateau, a bit of a ceiling, and I know at some point I will kick on from that. And I like what you say about, you know, that's where you are right now. You've got a really busy business, 2 young kids, um, just moved house, all these crazy things that a lot of people don't, you know, one of them would be enough for someone I've got going on, and you know, it's enough right now. What I'm doing is enough right now, and I weigh more than I did in my kind of early 20s. I think I've lost over 10 kilograms since we started at the start of this year. So it's even though I'm probably only doing 60% of what's on that course, and I've not stuck with a lot of the other bits, it's kind of, it's been good enough to, and it's good because I feel like I've got runway there that when I do have the, you know, in the
capacity.
inclination and capacity to step up,
Yeah.
and there probably is a bit of, you know, on myself as well. Like I could definitely do it now, but it's just where I am. I'm kind of happy with. It's a it's a good feeling to know that you know, there's runway for me to step up.
Yeah. Well, it's like sort of, I like to think of life like seasonally, and I don't mean the actual seasons. As we record, I can hear the
Mm.
rate battering down the roof now. It's not very nice. But like we have like seasons in life and where certain things are happening. And what you've just outlined there, right? Business is hectic, young kids, just moved, there's loads going on. Now, I truly believe, as we've been saying, that within that, you can still thrive, feel good, look good, show up good, be your best, be as present as you can, have that quote unquote balance as we described it at the start.
Yeah,
Um, doesn't mean there's not more you can achieve, but right now, for Project James, if you want to look at it like that, that's fucking good enough because where he was 6, 7 months ago was not there, right? But
yeah,
then you also go, well, I do also realize there are there's more here. But right now, I think I'm happy for this to be like the holding pattern. And then, as and when some of these elements calm down or calm up, even like that's the right word
yeah,
to
yeah,
use,
yeah,
well, then we can nudge on and kick on. But it's not like that's a failing. It's just a realization that I'm doing really well and feeling much better. And I think that's important. It's to recognize that, like the phrase, "You can have anything you want." you just can't have everything you want, and it's just
Yeah.
working out what's important right now. And I think for you, being able to take care of yourself, show up, smash work, be there for the family and kids, that's fine. Like, there might be other levels to that in the future, but that doesn't mean you have to do something about it right this second, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely that, and I kind of accept a little bit of that. You know, I like the idea of playing golf. I used to love playing football on a Saturday, but both of those things are a full day out. And I think I'd be divorced if you know, all of a sudden said I'm now the Saturday is now I'm going to be focusing on. So I know I've got, you know, I'm 34. I've got a thriving business, young family, you know, beautiful house, nice car. I've got loads of really amazing things that I'm really grateful for. And you know, nearly everything in my life is incredibly positive, and I'm doing enough right now. And there'll be opportunities when I have more time and can, you know, do golf and play football, maybe not later on, but do all these things that I'll have more time for. And I'm comfortable accepting that. And I think even kind of on a smaller level, I definitely work in bursts. So I work really intensively, and then you know, I burn out and I need to go on holiday for, you know, a week and do nothing, and then I come back and it's, you know, another 8 weeks. So I kind of work like that in life as well.
Yeah. Um, but I think being able to be, I mean, be kind of cool with that, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say that 7, 8 months ago when we first spoke, um, like all the things you just listed there about it being good, the one thing that wasn't was you and your health and how you felt and how you were showing up,
yeah.
right? And so that box is now ticked very well. Now, there is more there, and like you said, the golf. I've toyed with thinking, oh, maybe I'll take up golf because I used to play
Yeah,
golf
it's a
as a
nice
young guy.
idea.
Just like you said, like, yeah, okay, so I've got 3 kids, business like yourself. I'm just going to fuck off for a whole Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, the
Yeah,
options of that aren't great generally. Doesn't mean it's impossible or not going to happen in the future. Just right now, given everything we've got going on, is that the priority? Probably not, right? And I think if you can look at life like that, I think it's really helpful. And like you said, working in bursts and sprints and recognizing that as well. I think you've just done a sprint on yourself, and that's good. Now I'm good now, so it's like, okay, well, let's just see where we go. Um, well, like you said, you're only 34. There's lots more there, and as
yeah,
and when life changes and adapts, there's more to do. Like, I mean, even just the most basic, boring, practical stuff. Like at the moment, our morning routine, because the youngest, she's 4 and she's a maniac still. Like, there's a certain time I have to leave the house, which impacts some of the things I can do in the morning, which is what it is. There'll be a point when she's as older and more mature, like the older two. Because then I could leave with Kate was saying
yeah,
doing something separate in the house to be fine. Her, she'd got a death wish. But like, there's no point crying about that right now. It is what it is. We do the best you can with that scenario, but it'll change. And the truth is, when we're 50 and the kids are all teenagers and doing that to us and telling us to do one, we'll miss the mental time when they're
yeah.
trying,
100%.
trying to work out. And so it's also important, as hectic as it can be, to take a step back and reflect on it and go, actually, this is pretty cool as well, right?
Yeah, it's even, you know, like I said, I think he's what, 18 months now. He's a awful sleeper. He's an absolute devil. He was up 4 or 5 times last night, and you know, lately I've not been. It's been mainly my wife doing those night wakes, but then, like I say, I take from. Often from 5 a.m. and do that. That probably won't be the same. I fucking hope it won't. But in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, my youngest he was similar, and he's kind of completely grown out of that now. So even that once we have a normal sleeping but one thing I've realized is, I used to say this a lot, it would be, once this, you know, once I'm not doing this, and once I finish this, or once my kids are sleeping, I'll do X, is kind of, it doesn't all, it very rarely does that actually
No,
happen.
it's
And
bollocks because there's always another thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's always something. And I think, yeah, so I kind of, you know, you can't pin your hopes on, I'll do this when X happens, because it very rarely does.
No, totally. And I think that pinning it on the never never, like you said, there's always it's like you know, like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which
Yeah,
actually a myth, right? It never turns up. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, when I get there, but then when you get there, it disappears because actually there's always another thing. Whereas I think what you're speaking about in terms of yourself, it's, well, what can I do right now, and what am I going to do right now, and with the situation that I've got now, things will change in the future, but if I'm waiting for that, it's removing all the control from yourself, and you don't know what's going to happen. Whereas actually, if you look at what you're doing today and what you can do, I think for me that's more powerful, and it will change, and it will be easier, but it'll be different as well, right?
yeah. I mean, another example is when we were living in Putney in London up until June this year, and my business was out here in Epsom. My Gym was out here in Epsom. My uh, kids' nursery was out here in Epsom because we had a house sale fall through, so we'd moved them back to where we were going. And I had this big thing of when I get back to Epsom, I'll have loads more time because at the moment I'm spending an hour and a half commuting every day. My gym's over in Epsom. When I move back to Epsom, I'll have all this time, and none of that actually happened. Like
Yeah.
I said,
When we
I
chatted
don't go
about
to
that,
the
I was like,
gym.
okay then.
Yeah. I'll have all this time I've set. Now it just means my lifestyle's so much better because I'm not, my day's not as compressed, but I've just relaxed a little bit,
Mhm.
and I've not taken that hour of allocated time of commuting and I allocated it to another task of going to the gym or so. The life just doesn't work like that. So I think I've kind of realised and accepted that, and you've just got to do what you can with what you've got right now. And I think that's exactly what I've done on that with working at home. I've got something where, like I said, I use that phrase a lot, habitual. I was saying before the call that I've been ill for the last 2 weeks, and before that we had a big work trip. So this is the first time since I started the program I've not really done anything in 2.5 weeks, but I'm not worried. I'm not stressed because I know when I'm 100%, hopefully kind of from Monday, I'll just switch back into it because I know it literally is like riding a bike. What I do now, it's so just part of my daily routine.
Yeah, and that bit of sort of resilience piece, right? We chatted about this before we started recording. That's really important because um, whereas maybe historically, if you'd done a bit of work on yourself, started to feel a bit better, you get sick. Oh my god, it's all gone wrong. It's like no,
Yeah,
nothing's gone wrong. You didn't choose to be sick. I mean, maybe you chose to get bollocks at a work event. That's different. But like
did.
getting sick bit there, that's out of your
Yeah,
control.
yeah,
You go, well, I can't do anything right now. Not because I'm a bad person. Not because I've suddenly gone feral. Not because I've gotten to be habitual with stuff. It's just that's it. And I know exactly what I need to do on Monday. And so, like you said, it's just second nature. Come Monday or even tomorrow, if you're feeling a bit fresh tomorrow, we crack on, and that's it. And but that shows you that you've got these foundations that can serve you and keep you going when when you're able to, and also when the shit hits the fan, right? And so for me, that's the powerful thing. I think we all want to be able to have ways to take care of ourselves no matter
yeah.
what, right? And so you've got that framework, right?
Yeah, and the other stuff, there is the eating and there's the fitness stuff on the program, but it's the presence and all those other things that we work on, and they are definitely the bits that I've probably, if I'm being honest, I've done 20-25% of, and as we stand here today, I'm probably doing 10%, but that 10% has made a huge difference. Particularly, I'm a phone addict. I sit on my phone in the morning. I still do that. We tried breaking that in the program. I never never got round to that. But I'm so much better now. I regularly just when I get in, my phone goes off. I have complete separation from work in terms of my emails, a separate phone. I've just got way more balance, and I'm only doing a fraction of what I probably could have done.
Yeah. Well, and that speaks to those bits we talked about focusing on where you're at and what you need. And I think for you,
Yeah,
very acutely, you really wanted to get your physical health in check, which will help your
yeah,
mental health, and just get some habits and foundations that are serving you because it was a bit all over it was all over the place, right? Box ticked. There's other areas too, and you focus on them and got the most out of them. Is the more there you can do, yeah. But that's the whole point of like perfect enemy good enough and going, as you sit today, you're in a good spot. Could you adapt and build on that? Yeah, you can. But equally, you've done a lot within that, which has served you very, very well. Some of the guys in the program that might come in almost a flip reverse, they're not too bad
yeah.
physically, but that kind of presence bit is absolutely all over the place. So they need to put a bit more focus there. But then that taking a step back speaks to that holistic nature of what we need to look at. It isn't one magic thing. And there's some areas that need more focus or not, but we need to look at it in the round, and then the results speak for themselves, right?
Yeah, and I think I was quite hard on myself at the start of the program. So I'm very, I guess that kind of like driven, high performance, certainly kind of OCD, attention to detail is my personality. So it would be I'd have to do every single point, and then I'd almost get this stress and anxiety on a Sunday where it's like, oh, I haven't done X, Y, and Z this week. Let me go do that quick. And then what I realized probably when I went on to the next phase of the program is, and I think you said it. You said all that stuff's optional, and if you don't have time. And when I took, it definitely helped doing everything at the start.
Yeah.
But now finding that balance and like you say, perfect being the enemy of good. It's kind of, I know what I'm doing right now is good enough. There's a hell of a lot more I could do, and I might never do that, but I'm hopeful and optimistic that, at some point in that next phase, or when I've got more time, the never, I will do that. But I'm happy with what I've done, and if I could look, if a year ago versus now, I'd take that in a millisecond.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the key bit, right? If you were to split test where you were feeling, where you're at,
Yeah,
when James, you can have this, you'd be like, yeah, here we go, thanks very much, which is
yeah,
one. Well, look, mate, it's been a pleasure chatting. I know you're very busy, so let's not take up any more of your time. Before we get off, if someone was sat listening to this, maybe they were feeling like you were a few months back, bit busy, overwhelmed, not healthy, not being able to see the wood for the trees, what would you say to someone like that who's in that situation, regardless of whether it's to work with me or not? You know how you were feeling. What would you say to someone like that about making a change and doing something?
yeah. I think everyone probably thinks they should be doing better and doing other stuff. And I got to that point where I knew I needed to do something. I tried many different things. So for me, this program works really well. I liked the fact that it stepped up. So, the first week was really easy stuff, 10K steps, dropping breakfast, just little things and after the first week, I felt, all right, I'm winning this. And then the second week, it was a bit of a step up. Whereas I've done programs before where here's a spreadsheet, you've got to fill out all the macros, all this kind of stuff. You've got to be in the gym 4 times a week, and it's 0 to 100 in a millisecond. And that never worked for me because I felt like I was failing from day one because I wasn't doing 100% of stuff. Whereas with this program, I was doing 100% of the stuff and more. And then in the second week, I was doing 100. And it got more and more difficult. But it's boiling the frog. It crept up on me. I didn't realize that I was doing that. So I think it's a unique program from my perspective. And I can only speak to that it worked for me and my circumstances.
Yeah. And what you said there about the starting steady, I think that's where a lot of people fall over. They try and do a million things, it falls over, and then you're back to square one, and you're kind of just feel like it's insurmountable. Whereas if you start
Yeah.
steady and build, we get there. But then the thing that you said there about it does pick up. Well, and part of the program, really, like you mentioned at some point, and we had conversations, and it happens with guys like, I can't do it all. And they look at the week and think, you failed on a couple of things. Like, yeah, but look at all the stuff you have done. You go, oh, all right,
Yeah.
fair enough. Like, well, that's good enough. And part of it, and the way I designed it like that is on purpose. So you go, I can't do it all. And you have to realize that. And that's okay. So it's like,
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
to terms with the fact that we've done a load of good stuff. That doesn't then mean, oh, well, there's one thing that I dropped, therefore it's all fucked. No, that's okay. And there's a reason for that. We can understand that and unpick it. But you did all this, let's keep going. And I think that's what keeps that resilience, because you start to say to yourself, well, actually, if I just like chill out a little bit, it goes a lot further. Not to say we want to be slack and be lazy, that's not it either. But it's just giving yourself a bit of grace to let this stuff embed, right? And that's
Yeah.
when the 0 to 100 just doesn't work, because especially for guys who like to be good at stuff, you feel like you're failing instantly. It's just not good, is
Yeah.
it?
And it's more than just one thing. So I think back to about 18 months ago, I had a stint where I got a PT twice a week, and I stuck at it for 6 weeks, I think. And after week 4, I was like, you know what, I think this is permanent. I think I've got this. And then after, something threw me off, but that was all or nothing. So if I stopped doing that PT, I'd 100% stopped. Whereas with this program, it's omni-channel. There's so many bits that you drop off your fitness or your specific routines because you can't for whatever reason, or you're traveling or something like that. There's still 80% of the program and bits that you can be doing where you don't feel like you've broken it. Because I often find, like, if I stop something, it's much easier than to just kind of be like, oh, well, I've stopped it now, and I won't go on.
Yeah, and I think I've had guys like break the knees, do other things, all sorts of stuff happen, and I was like, well, you can't do that. Agreed, totally.
Yeah.
What about that, and that? Oh, yeah, fair enough. And so once you got that, you go, okay, but again, that means when you're out in the wild on your own, you can have that conversation with yourself and go, okay, well, that's annoying. Like, you're sick. Well, I can still put my phone down. I can still
Yeah.
drink
Yeah.
more water. I can probably still get some steps in. Well, I can still take care of myself. Do you see what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
and then you can keep playing that game. So then there is no stopping progress. You just keep moving forward, which is, I think, what we all want, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really grateful to you and the program for kind of what it's done, because I think ultimately the fact that a lot of it was home based and just slotted in didn't require that allocation of time from my kids, family. I didn't have to add it on. I just had to kind of integrate it into what I was doing already. That's the game, and it's almost so obvious when you say it out loud, but sometimes the best ideas are.
Exactly. Well, that's it. Well, mate, on that note, been a pleasure chatting, James. It's also been a pleasure working with you, mate. You know that I know you're coming to the end of the process now. You deserve all the success you've got. And I'm excited to where you go. And also maybe a conversation in the future. So maybe we'll get you on in a year to prove to everyone that even
Yeah.
still works. If anyone is listening, they're interested in having a chat with me about how I can help, drop me a note in the comments or ping me a DM. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you guys next week. Cheers, James.
Thanks.